So hi, how is everyone doing now? In this video I'd like to talk about some of the proofs for the age of the Earth. It's called Part 1 because there are many more scientific proofs for the age of the Earth being young that are not included in this particular video. Now in science there is a principle called the limiting factor. So when it comes to the age of the Earth, if we have different scientific proofs, some say billions of years old, some say millions of years old, some say thousands of years old, you take the youngest one. That becomes your limiting factor. I hope you understand this principle. Let's say that we were, going to dive on a shipwreck. So we get our dive team together. We dive to the bottom of the lake or the ocean and we find the wreck. Okay. Now if you found a box of coins on the ship, you could answer the very simple question, when did the boat sink? Well, you look at the dates on the coins. If you find a coin in there from 1750, you can figure out that that boat sank after 1750. You look at the youngest coin in the box, not the oldest. That's a limiting factor. The Earth has limiting factors. So, who cares about the age of the Earth? Number one, the credibility of the book of Genesis is at stake. Can the average person read that book and understand it? Or do we need some guru to tell us what it means? Number two, the credibility of Jesus is at stake. Jesus cited Genesis 25 times. Number three, nearly every other book in the Bible refers to Genesis. Number four, the evolutionists certainly care. Their entire theory would look silly without billions of years to hide in. Now there are numerous scientific ways to show the universe is not billions of years old. Let's go take a look at some of these now. Now I do want to warn you, this is not going to be like a preachy kind of video, just scientific proofs. So it may get a little boring, but please bear with me, huh? Here we have evidence from the stars. 1. Star clusters. One type of galaxy in our outer space is the star cluster. There are many of them, and within each one are billions of stars. Some of these clusters are moving so rapidly that it would be impossible for them to remain together if the universe were very old. Number 2. Large stars. Some stars are so large and radiate energy so rapidly that they could not have contained enough hydrogen to radiate at such fast rates for long ages, because their initial mass would have had to have been too immense. Number 3. High energy stars. 4 types of stars radiate energy too rapidly to have existed longer than 50,000 to 300,000 years. Number 4. Binary stars. Most stars in the disk of galaxies are binary stars. That is, 2 stars revolving about one another. Yet frequently, one is classified as very old, the other very young. This cannot be. Number 5. Hydrogen in the universe. Hydrogen cannot be made by converting other elements into it. Therefore, if the universe were as old as the theory requires, there would now be very little hydrogen in the universe. How about evidence from our solar system? Number 1. Solar collapse. Our sun is gradually shrinking at a steady rate. It is occurring fast enough that as little as 50,000 years ago, the sun would have been so large that our oceans would boil. In far less time in the past, that is 25,000 years or so, all life on Earth would have ceased to exist. Number 2. Solar neutrinos. The sun is emitting hardly any neutrinos. This, coupled with the fact that the sun is shrinking, points to a recently created sun. Number 3. Comets. Comets circle the sun and are assumed to be as old as our solar system. Since they are continually disintegrating, and a number are known to have broken up, evidently all of them self-destruct within a relatively short time period. It is estimated that comets cannot be over 10,000 years old. Number 4. Comet water. Comets are primarily composed of water. So many small comets strike the Earth that if our planet was billions of years old, our oceans would have been filled up several times over with water. Number 5. Solar wind. The sun's radiation blows very small particles in space outward. All particles smaller than a certain size should, billions of years ago, have been blown out of the solar system. Yet these microparticles are abundant and still orbiting the sun. Therefore, our solar system is quite young. Number 6. Solar drag. Small and medium rocks circling the sun are gradually drawn by gravity into the sun. Careful analysis reveals that most would have been gone within 10,000 years, and all within 50,000 years. There is no known source of rock or particle replenishment. How about some evidence from the other planets? Number 1. Temperature and erosion on Venus. High surface temperatures on Venus, that is 900 degrees Fahrenheit or 482 degrees centigrade, combined with other of its surface features, support a young age for Venus. If the planet was 4 billion years old, as taught by the theory, its dense atmosphere should long ago have worn away all the craters. Number 2. erosion and water on Mars. Only a few thousand years of the type of harsh dust storm weather occurring on Mars should have seriously eroded its many craters and volcanoes. Long-term erosion should also have obliterated the strong color differences on the surface. The small amount of water on Mars should long ago have been split apart into hydrogen and oxygen by solar ultraviolet rays. The hydrogen should have escaped and the oxygen should be in the atmosphere, but this is not so. Number 3. Composition of Saturn's rings. Trillions of particles in Saturn's rings are mainly solid ammonia. Because of its high vapor pressure, it could not survive long without vaporizing into outer space. Number 4. Bombardment of Saturn's rings. Meteoroids bombarding Saturn's rings would have destroyed them in far less than 20,000 years. Number 5. More ring problems. Rings found on Jupiter, Uranus, and Neptune indicate that they too have a very young age. Number 6. Jupiter's moons. One of Jupiter's largest moons, Io, ejects large amounts of material through volcanoes. Although it's quite small, it has the most active volcanoes we know of and must be quite youthful. How about evidence from our own moon? Number 1. Moon dust. Ultraviolet light changes moon rocks into dust. It had long been predicted that a thick layer of dust, that is 20 to 60 miles or 32 to 96.5 kilometers, caused by ultraviolet radiation on the moon's 4 billion-year-old surface, must cover the moon's surface. But scientists were astonished to learn that there is not over 2 to 3 inches, that is 5.08 to 7.62 centimeters of dust, just the amount expected if the moon was only a few thousand years. Number 2. Lunar soil. The dirt on the moon's surface does not show the amount of soil mixing it should have, if the moon were very old. Number 3. Lunar isotopes. Short-term radioactive isotopes such as uranium-236 and thorium-230 have been found in the collected moon rocks. These isotopes do not last long and rather quickly turn into lead. If the moon were even 50,000 years old, these short-life radioisotopes would long since have decayed into lead. The moon cannot be older than several thousand years. Number 4. Lunar radioactive heat. Moon rocks have relatively high radioactivity, indicating a young moon, because of the large amount of heat generated. Number 5. Lunar gases. Small amounts of several inert gases have been found on the moon. At today's intensity of solar wind, the amount of inert gases found on the moon would reach their full amount in less than 10,000 years, and no longer. Number 6. Lunar phenomena. Transient lunar activity data, that is moonquakes, lava flows, gas emissions, etc., reveals the moon is still remarkably active, showing it is quite young. Number 7. Lunar recession. The moon is already far too close to the Earth. It is now known that due to tidal friction, it is gradually moving further away from us. Based on the rate of recession, the moon cannot be very old. If it were even 20,000 to 30,000 years old, it would at some earlier time have been so close, it would have fallen into our planet. How about evidence from the Earth's atmosphere? Number 1. Atmospheric helium. Our helium comes from 3 sources. Radioactive decay of either uranium or thorium produces helium. Helium spewed out by the sun is pulled in by the Earth's gravity. Helium is also produced in the upper atmosphere. All of that helium is accumulating, since helium is not able to reach escape velocity and go into outer space. But the amount of helium we have is too small if our world has existed for long ages. Based on all 3 helium producers, Earth's atmospheric age cannot be over 10,000 years. Number 2. Carbon-14 disintegration. The present worldwide buildup of radiocarbon in the atmosphere would have produced all of the world's radiocarbon in only several thousand years. Based on this, Earth's age is estimated at 8,000 years. Evidence for meteorites. Number 1. Meteor dust. Micrometeors composed of iron, nickel, and silicate compounds that are continually entering our atmosphere adds 25 tons, that is 22.7 metric tons, to the Earth daily. Based on the amount here, Earth's age should be in the thousands, not millions of years. Regarding nickel content, the amount in the oceans could have been carried there from land in 9,000 years, or half that time if nickel had already been there. Number 2. Meteor craters. Meteor craters are never found in the rock strata, yet they would be found there if millions of years were required to lay down that sedimentary strata. Meteor craters always lie close to or on the Earth's surface. Thus, all of the meteors which have struck the Earth have hit it within the last few thousand years. Number 3. Meteor rocks. When meteors strike the Earth, they are called meteorites. Supposedly, this has happened for millions of years. Yet the meteorites are only found at or close to the Earth's surface. None are ever found in the deeper sedimentary strata. Therefore, the Earth is young, and the strata was quickly laid down not too long ago. Number 4. Tektites. Tektites are a special type of glassy meteorite. They are especially found in large areas called strewn fields. Each shower lies on the surface or in the topmost layers of soil. They are never found in the sedimentary fossil-bearing strata. If the Earth were billions of years old, they should be found in all of the strata. They never show more than a few thousand years of weathering. Carbon-14 tests show them to be no older than 6,500 years. So that concludes this portion on my scientific evidence for the age of the Earth. The purpose is to strengthen your faith in the Word of God. The Bible is true, even though it only claims the Earth being less than 10,000 years old. Probably only about 6,000 years old, in my opinion. So I hope to be doing more videos soon. If you'd like to see some more scientific evidence on this particular topic, just let me know in the comments, and I'll be glad to do some more. Thanks for watching. Have fun. Goodbye.